Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am loving our internet connection so far, Darce.
I was like, do you see the smile on my face right now?
You know, when we have these struggles, it physically does something to my body. And I'm sure you being on that side, you're probably going crazy, but it's so frustrating to have a lag. And yeah, it's 2025, right?
My argument is the fact that they want us to all be so digitally tech savvy and utilize our internet and the connections for everything.
Home, everybody. Right.
And yet we don't get that.
No.
No,
but we are going to sit in some thankfulness this morning and be very excited that we've got a great connection. We've got a great podcast today. We've got a great live today. Yeah. And we are going to we never talk about anything controversial ever. And so we just thought we're going to break out the controversy today, just, out of the blue, because, why not?
Yeah.
Why not do that? Yeah. Every once in a while, I got to create some spice in your life. So today we're going to talk about why oatmeal makes you fat. And we're going to talk about the amazing news today, by the way. Let's break the show with some amazing news. If you're watching the news at all, hopefully you've turned it off. And hopefully you're not watching fake news. But if you watched the news yesterday, it popped up everywhere that we're getting a new food pyramid, a new food guidelines that is taking our old, dilapidated, fake news food pyramid, and we're going to get a new one, which is amazing. It's going from 160 pages to simply 4. I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves.
I don't know.
This is great news. This is exactly what I voted for. This is why I made the trip to Washington, D.C. to make sure that RFK was elected and was put in what is his title?
Human Health
and Human Services. Yes. It was I remember watching the election and watching him come out. I don't remember if you were watching. You were probably watching with me. It was during a Charlie Kirk event that he came out with all of the sparkles, and this man was a Democrat, and he's like, nope, wrong party, wrong time. I'm going to get behind this change and do what God called me to do. And I watched a couple of his interviews, and he was in tears. He's like, God said, I want you to make a difference. And he is right in the exact place right now. Whether you agree with him on I don't agree with myself every day on issues. I could have an argument with myself. Here's a funny story. You don't have to deal with this in Anderson because I think you have one, but we don't have a Hobby Lobby here. Oh. And thank goodness, because my husband's grateful. However, we're getting one. We're getting a Hobby Lobby. I'm so excited. However, they just voted in the city council. They're going to give them a forgivable loan, which means my tax dollars are paying to bring Hobby Lobby in. And I'm like, part of me is like, Hobby Lobby. But wait, I don't think taxpayers should pay for Hobby Lobby to come into Warsaw. I just don't think it should happen.
Right.
So yesterday I had an argument with myself about things that I love, but no, taxpayers should not pay for a company coming into your town.
That is very wealthy, by the way. Why would they need a tax cut?
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
right there.
That's
And
conflicting. But
oh, it's very conflicting. So
the thing I like with RFK though, and I think it goes to show with other companies that do good, is the fact that he's living what he preaches.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
he's doing what he preaches versus just saying, "Oh, it's this," and then kind of clenching his cheeks and being like, "Oh, I'm not sure if it's it," but it's like that how we feel about Hobby Lobby right now.
Exactly.
um,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
but just I believe that for like that's usually who I tend to follow is somebody who looks like they are living and you see that they're living the
Yes.
lifestyle
Yes.
and have experience
Yes.
with seeing it and
Right.
firsthand. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
is the case for even some doctors. Unfortunately, I think I mean, sometimes I feel like the book does explain what's on the inside because we
Right.
say, oh, you can't just look at the cover to know what's in the juicy stuff that's on the inside. Well, you kind of can
Yeah.
in some circumstances. And I guess that could be considered judgmental, but that's what happens when you're in leadership is that people
Right.
are watching you and
Oh,
they are taking into consideration, well, they're not living their lifestyle that they're
exactly.
looking for. So
Yeah, I wouldn't go to a weight loss coach who, was obese. I wouldn't do that, because I want to know that what they're living is, and granted, when I started this practice, I wasn't to my weight loss goal. So it's not a matter of what you look like. It's a matter of are you living it and
yeah,
is
it's
it working
action.
for you?
Yeah,
It's the action behind it. And so
yeah.
that's why I love him. And I love that we can now ask questions. We were not able to ask questions before because science. We had to trust science. Well, when you go back and you look who pays for this, it's the big pharma companies. So of course they're going to tweak the data. Of course they're going to not tell you the entire story. And so I love that we can question, what is causing autism? I am shocked that we're not allowed to question that. These moms, they're not my kind of people that are saying, how dare you question why my child has autism? Come on. Now, my kids have had struggles. They've had vaccine injuries, and they're grown. They're grown kids. And so I'm like, I kind of don't want to know that I did this to them. Like,
Hmm.
so I understand the feeling, but these women are vicious. Don't you don't you ask questions? My child doesn't have a disease. Yeah, we do. We do have a problem. When 1 out of 3 boys is autistic, we have a problem. And it's time we start asking questions and being bold enough to ask them. And RFK is bold enough to do that, and he didn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
And if you look at the previous administration's HSA director, my gosh, HSA, um, H. What is his title again? If you look at it, the man was transgender and he was obese. And no, I'm not taking health advice from you. I'm sorry. So I'm excited about this. I don't believe I looked yesterday. I don't believe it has been released yet, but the it was they were giving hints. It's whole foods, y'all. It is whole foods.
Yeah.
It is protein. It is meat. It is saturated fat. It's butter. Good morning, Gary. It's good to see you from Istanbul. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Oh,
See, now
wow.
if Gary can get signal from Istanbul, it seems like we should be able to go to Anderson.
What?
It just seems like I don't know much of anything, but you know.
Yeah.
So we're super excited. I can't wait. I've got an article ready to come out when I get to see the actual 4 pages. You shouldn't have to read through 160 pages. The same
No.
principles that apply to me should have applied to food stamps, should
Yeah.
apply to SNAP, should have applied to the military, right?
Yes.
We want our military guys as healthy as they can be. I want the same food plan that they have. And
Yeah.
if it's good enough for them and it's good enough for me and it's good enough for our kids who are on WIC, it's good enough. And so I was trying to see, after they announced it yesterday, I was trying to see, okay, who would oppose this? Who would oppose cutting this down?
I know.
It's the people who want convenience. It's the people who want to go buy pop and go
Mhm.
buy the candy for their kids. It's the SNAP. It's those people who are like freaking out.
Yeah.
Go buy it. Go buy meat, y'all. Go
Well,
buy
they're
it.
like, "Oh, you know how expensive all these foods are." Well, maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is expensive to eat healthier,
Maybe we should change that.
but maybe we should change that. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that would be a good course to take in order
Mm-hmm.
for everybody to eat healthy and eat the whole
Absolutely.
foods. You know how many how much Whole Foods that it gets thrown away from the grocery store. Why is that? There's
Yeah.
more damage than people buying. So if they lowered the price, they would
Right.
probably consume the product. But there's anyway, that's
Oh
just
my.
me
Yeah, so true. And
thinking like,
I was at a local event here in Warsaw a couple weeks ago, and there was protesters outside. And I saw one of them had a sign. We couldn't figure out what they were protesting. They don't know what they're protesting. They're very confused. But one of their signs said, "The government cares more about farmers than they do health care." If I had 5 minutes to chat with that person who did not understand her sign, that's why it's expensive, because we're feeding pharma and we're not feeding our farmers. Farmers are the backbone of our country. If we don't have
they
farmers,
listen,
we don't have
yeah,
health care.
there would be no food.
It was so dumb, and I feel sorry for them
Processed or not
because
processed, there would be no food.
yeah. And I do have
Oh,
empathy. I try to find empathy in everything in my life right now because I'm trying to change the last part of my life, the second part of my life. And so, in that second part of my life, I want some empathy
yeah.
because I have opinions, but I want to be able to hear all sides. I want to be able to have empathy for these people. But it's so hard. What is common sense? It's so hard. And so,
Well, the fact is that common sense doesn't run very well anymore,
no,
and
no.
people are so like even though they have trust issues, they trust everything that seems good and more powerful and mightier than
Yeah.
they.
And they're being
So
controlled. They're
they're
being
being
controlled by money.
that is true, and I so that's where the empathy comes in. Just the fact that
Mm.
they have been, you know,
They don't, yeah, they've been very
raised to
brainwashed.
not ask questions.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we shouldn't
Yeah.
ask questions. Or they get so confused they don't know what questions to ask.
Right. And I did, again, in imparting empathy, I did switch my news over one night. I can't stand watching the liberal bias media. I can't, like, it makes me physically ill. And I don't like living in that space in my life right now. I like peace. But I switched it over. And the things that they spew on those news channels, I understand why these people are stupid. I really do, because they're being fed a bunch of garbage and things that don't make sense. So if you are looking at that and you see it, you're going to buy into it. And so that's why you and I live differently. We live differently. We
Yeah.
question with boldness even the very existence of God, as Thomas Jefferson said. And I think that's a good space to be in. Question. Don't put yourself in a box. I like boxes.
Hmm.
I used to be a hardcore Republican, hardcore conservative. I used to fight for things that I was not wavering on, and so I understand wanting to be in a box. Being outside a box and going to fight for a Democrat to be elected to be our health and human services, that was outside the box for me. When I went to see RFK, his hearings, when I went to see that, I stood in line to get into the room, and I was standing with Democrats. I was standing with libertarians. We didn't know what box everybody stood in. I am very good friends with these people that I met in line, and we don't agree on everything, but my gosh, we agree on this. We agree on this. And the
Yeah.
topic of our podcast today and our live today is oatmeal's making people fat. That's clickbait. I understand that, but it's not. It's not.
Right.
The old food pyramid, and I hope it deletes itself within the week. I hope that we get to see this new food pyramid and these new guidelines, because that old style is making us obese. I'm preparing for a meeting that I'm having on Monday with our governor to speak into the Make America Healthy Again movement. And I got 15 minutes with him to only speak about this. And as I'm preparing this, as I'm looking at this, I'm looking, and you and I talked about this yesterday when you said, Monica, who's your opposition?
Hmm.
And I'm looking at this, and what I have to present to our governor will wrestle a hornet's nest with a company who lives right here in Indiana, who feeds our Hoosier base, Eli Lilly. That's my enemy. Do they do good things? They probably do, but they are providing sick care. If they don't have sick people, they don't exist. And the lifestyle that you and I have found heals people. metabolically heals people. And so as I was doing research for the governor, 44% of Hoosiers are obese. That's not even overweight, that's obese. 44%. The diabetes number is sickening. And then that's just diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
When you put prediabetes into that number, which by the way, prediabetes is diabetes. It it is. Insulin resistance is diabetes. The statistics for that are overwhelming. And the people who take medications for this, we're providing sick care. We're not providing health care. And so you and I's message about oatmeal making people fat, that is not popular to Eli Lilly.
Mm-mm.
Not popular. Because if their people get well, they better go to Walmart and work. I mean, there's no need for them, right? So people don't want to heal. That said, you and I both know we've got the cream of the crop with our clients because they want to change.
Yeah.
The majority don't. The majority want to pop a pill, take a shot, and they don't want to deal with changing their lifestyle. They don't want to do our lifestyle. So, not giving the doctors an out, but frankly, we're lazy. We are lazy humans that we don't want to change our lifestyle because we have bought into convenience and we bought into the little Debbies. We bought into these packages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And breaking that addiction is harder than taking a shot.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. We have a new program going to change lives. I've had my first round and I'm watching the dashboard of the CGM monitors for our clients. I'm watching it and I'm watching what's happening to them personally. It's life-changing. It is absolutely life-changing. And the things that you and I have found, we'll talk a little bit about what we have found in our personal CGM journey. We're providing CGMs to all of our clients now because it's giving us the data we need. We had a client yesterday. Not going to say any names. Don't worry about that. But we had a client yesterday. It was one of my clients, and looking at the CGM, looking at her monitor. No, I think it was a guy. It was one of our guy people. Looking at his CGM monitor and seeing the spikes. Seeing these spikes, and we talk them through these spikes. We show them what these spikes mean. You can't just get a CGM monitor and put it on and say, okay, yay, corn chips didn't raise my glucose. That we can't do that, right? We have to understand what those spikes mean. We have to understand how long those spikes have been up. We've got to understand the science behind why. And this blessed client, he was like, well, Monica, I've eaten healthy. Like, I've eaten healthy. I can't understand. There's one thing on the CGM monitor that was healthy. And he's like, well, it could have been, I had some strawberries. Could have been that. Looked at the monitor, looked at his log, and I saw oatmeal on there. And I'm like, have we looked at this? Have we looked at this spike? Oatmeal is not healthy. I did a test the other day. You and I have reached our weight loss goals. We're living our best life right now. And so we've been able to test some of these things. I on my birthday, I tested some things that were off plan. But we're testing these healthy foods, granola bars, the things that are packaged, the things, and I tested oatmeal. I was floored. Now let's give a little bit. You want to do the stars? Let's give a little bit of the science on what we're looking for on these spikes. Like what are we looking for and why are we looking for that?
So because we're looking at like the certain spikes that shoot up, like if you eat something normal, we look at how long it stays up and how long and how fast it comes down or slow it comes down. We look at your average of how many spikes that you get when you're eating, how many spikes you get throughout the day, even when you're not eating. And there's the average. So we go through by the average of, okay, what throughout your whole entire day, this is what you're doing. Now, if it's on the higher end, we know that there's probably some insulin resistance that we need to work through. If your numbers are staying up high, it looks like you are probably again, insulin resistant. because of it's not fluctuating fast. When
Right.
you're metabolically able to switch, that means that your blood glucose
Mm-hmm.
is um, is sensitive.
Yeah.
So
Because you're going to see spikes.
yeah, you are.
Everybody's
Yeah,
going to see
I've
spikes.
been carnivore now since I started my course. Now I'm seeing a lot less spikes.
Mm-hmm.
But now that this month, my carnivore month has been over, going
Looks
to
different.
it looks a little bit different.
Right.
So, and that does something to me
Mm-hmm.
a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
uh, but initially, you are looking at not just the food that's going into your body, but you're looking at your stress and how that is spiking your glucose. You're looking at
Mm-hmm.
how well you're sleeping and how that may be spiking your glucose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, your exercise and how your exercise even affects your glucose.
Mm-hmm.
So those.
Darcy, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want to give a little bit of science behind the spikes. What is happening in the spikes is that's the sugar. That's the starch. And when I say sugar, y'all, I'm talking about starches. I'm talking about simple carbs. I'm
Mhm,
talking about convenience food. So when you see a spike, what's happening is your the sugar has been released in your blood. Your blood can't handle the sugar. So that's when your pancreas comes in and releases insulin. Insulin is the carrier, it's the hormone that carries that sugar to your cells to use. When you have a spike, that means your pancreas is releasing insulin.
mhm.
Insulin is a fat storage hormone. Insulin is where you gain all of the weight. You cannot lose weight in the presence of insulin. You can't. Okay. And so when you see those spikes, that's telling us as your coaches, that's the sugar. Okay. Which means you can't see it. And there's a different test for this, the insulin test, right? You can't see the insulin, but that's when the insulin's spiking. So we combine those things sugar, starches, spikes with insulin, right? And so the longer that spike is spiked and when it doesn't come down in 2 hours, that means your insulin, your pancreas is just pushing and pushing and pushing. And when you're insulin resistant, your body can't take it anymore. It's like filling a full teacup. Can't take it. So what does it do? It takes it and says, I got to get rid of this blood sugar in the system. So I'm going to turn it into fat cells. Insulin loves to hang out with fat cells. Okay. So that's what Darcy is saying when we're looking for this we see a spike, you're going to have spikes come down right away. That means you're insulin sensitive. You're good to go. I can eat things now that I couldn't eat 8 years ago. I can eat a potato now just fine. That's why we don't call it keto anymore. We call it metabolic health. But that's what Darcy's talking about when we're looking for those spikes. How high does it go, and how long does it stay up there? Because we're talking, you're not fat burning anymore. When you have no spikes, if you have a level line, Darcy and I were talking about this earlier. GLP-1 is very popular right now, very popular, and everybody's different. So especially women, Darcy has a cycle world. I don't anymore, but so there's going to be times that you're going to be hungry because your hormones are screaming, right? But when you when you have the CGM on, it is a natural GLP-1. You can create your own GLP-1. That's why you're not hungry. Again, like Darcy said this morning, there's times cycles of my month that I'm hungry. Well, that's your body saying, please give me food. I need this particular thing. But when you have a CGM, you're watching a GLP-1 thing happen if you do it right. And so that is a really, really cool thing. I made a post on my personal page this morning on how a CGM impacts GLP-1. Everything is very popular right now when they say GLP-1, but it's a matter of fact. They're not lying. GLP-1 is what makes you feel satisfied. It's what it takes the food noise away. That's why it's so popular right now. When you do the CGM right in our program, you're not hungry. Unless it's that time of month, you're not hungry, right? When you have eggs in the morning, Darce, you're satisfied. That food noise just goes, whoo, you're not hungry for a while. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about spikes and what we're looking for in our clients. It is changing their lives. They're like, my gosh, I'm not hungry anymore. So let's talk about oatmeal. Oatmeal's healthy. It's at the bottom of the food pyramid. Like it is the foundation, right? So we've been told oatmeal is so healthy. Well, I did a test and I am insulin sensitive now. So my insulin resistance has healed. Just got my labs back. Everything was in the green. Every number was in the green. And it not only was in their green, it was in Dr. Barry's green. His green is different than the average American diet, the standard, the SAD diet. His is a little bit more tight, right? Everything was in his range. So I healed my insulin resistance. Last thing to heal, by the way. So I had oatmeal with a friend. And I did two different kinds because I had oatmeal with strawberries in it. And then I did a plain test. What do you call those things? There's a scientific name for that kind of a test where the variables were removed. Strawberries being a variable of, being sweet. So it's going to spike higher. Same numbers. When I did my test on my birthday for cake, 8 years, first time in 8 years, it was lower than the oatmeal. And it came down fast. Because there's fat in it, number one. But number two, oatmeal spikes your insulin, keeps it raised. And not only that, those 2 days were hell days for me because I was ravenous all day after having that oatmeal. I wanted to eat all day. My signals of feed me were turned on that morning. So, have you done any of these? I know you were carnivore and you had to kind of do your front side, which I'm glad you did. Have you had anything surprising yet like that? Because I know you're just kind of easing out into the hormone world.
I did the other day. I've been doing dried mangoes because I usually, when I'm doing a hormone refeed, I usually focus on those foods, and that hardly spiked my insulin. And if it did, it was up to like 100, and then it dropped.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that kind of was a little bit more of what I feel like you have a certain terminology for it, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's when it spikes and then it goes back up a little bit and then
Mm-hmm.
drops again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Recalibration. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's your blood. Your body wants homeostasis. It wants
Yeah.
to keep you normal. It's going to do everything it can to keep you normal. And so when you have something like that and you see a respike in it, it's not. It's normal. Your pancreas is just saying, "Hey, I got to regulate this a little
Yeah.
bit more, and here's some more insulin."
Right. But I did chili with beans, and there weren't a lot of beans, but I did that with um, the tomato sauce and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then
Yeah.
we had a chili cook off, so I tried everybody's.
Uh huh.
I would have never done that before.
Yeah.
So that one did the similar where it spiked up and then it just did like the
Mm-hmm.
homeostasis, the balancing,
Yeah.
and so I still like I feel like that would have not happened
Mm-hmm.
personally with somebody that was insulin resistant.
Yeah.
Somebody like me that's been carnivore and has been living carnivore for a while,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also has healed my insulin resistance.
Mm-hmm.
That that showed me that that's where my body is, and it
Mm-hmm.
has put me at peace.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And you said the word peace. I love that because if you come to us and you're insulin resistant, you're pre-diabetic, you are on a certain food plan because we've got to heal you. We've got to heal you from the inside out, right? But I want you to hear the word peace and freedom because now that we're in a different space, and I don't know if it took me 8 years to do that. I don't know exactly when. I know my last blood test, it was a little bit higher. My insulin was a little bit higher. So I'm continuing to heal. It took me 10 years to heal completely. Um, but when you get to our space and whatever your space is, when it comes to healing, it's different. It's literally not a diet. Would I implement oatmeal again? I know, no. To me, I see oatmeal as a donut now. I see it worse. I see it as poison. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to go backwards. However, can I have a potato with a lot of butter? Absolutely. So that's why people are thinking we're leaving keto. Well, you're leaving keto. No. we still we still succumb to the healing properties of it, but the lifestyle I live now is a lot more free than it was in 2017.
Coach, my question for you is: did it matter if it was instant instant oatmeal or rolled
Mm-hmm.
oats, where it's more from
Mm-hmm.
the natural form?
Right. There are things when you get into the science behind it. There are things that are called, and I don't know the answer to that question to you directly is I don't know because I've not tried that. However, there's something that's called resistant starch, and so there's things that we can do to lower that glycemic load, and that is changing the starch, changing the chemistry of that. I know for potatoes, for example, if you have a potato straight out of the oven, hot, straight out, you're going to have a very high glycemic index spike because that starch is fully formed. When you break that starch up and you take that potato and you put it in the refrigerator and you rewarm it, you're going to have half the glycemic load that you did with that. That's called resistant starch. So the question and a test would be steel oats, is this different than rolled oats? Is it different than instant? 100% instant, different from instant oats. But there are things that you can do like that to test. Okay, rice is one of them. When you cool rice down, it breaks that starch down and it becomes a resistant starch. So you don't have the load. Now, our folks who are insulin resistant, they're not going to experience that to the fullest because they're insulin resistant. They have to become insulin sensitive before that fully takes form. But yeah, you can totally. And that is the cool thing about this new program is our first program that we had that we've been successfully coaching for the past 6 years. That was a no, you don't eat this. Bad foods, good foods, bad foods, good foods. Well, everyone's different. Everybody is in a different place when it comes to their insulin response. So that's why this is so personal. And that's why we run a caution of being overly numbered, uh, obsessed over numbers. We can't do that on this program because we have to understand, okay, this is what it does to my body. I'm going to choose not to do this. I'm going to choose not to put the sugar in because I know what's going to happen. Everybody's different. And that's why we have hit the jackpot when it comes to our new coaching system because we can literally go into their CGM data and say, hey, you know, maybe we should replace this food with this food. I had somebody who come to me yesterday and say, Monica, I had this low carb tortilla. We saw the big spike coming from it. Well, that's low carb, air quotes, right? Well, all of those things have wheat in them. If it has wheat, we don't eat because it spikes. And so this client was able to look at that choice she made and I said, "Hey, why don't we replace that with egg wraps and let's see what happens to your sugar?" She did that and she had no spike. I'm going to try to share my screen because I want you to see this is mine, so it's not a client. Um, I want you to see if I can figure this out. I hope I can. Allow. I want you to see my CGM. Um, I'm going to go over here and I hope and pray. If not, you're going to see my proposal to the governor. Um, but let's look at my CGM right now. This is mine. My average. Can you see that, Darce?
Mm-hmm.
My average glucose is 97. We want our clients to have a low average glucose. But take a look at my line. This is an overview of my line from the last 14 days. We set our clients, now I want mine lower because I want to be insulin sensitive. I want to keep that healing. So I have set mine at from 70 to 130. See that line? This is what we want to see. This is what we want to see in our clients. We want to see a low, steady line. If you have that line, 9 times out of 10, you are not feeling hungry. You are not getting that craving, that ravenous look. You are feeling energy, you're feeling good, you're feeling full, and you're not feeling that food noise. Um, if I go down, you can see some spikes here. You can see my sugar went up to 105 there. That was 6 o'clock. That would have been for dinner. Okay. Never did it go over. Wonder, I'm looking to see if we can, right here. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. This was a day, my blood sugar, this is Thursday, and I'm going to see what I ate there. Look at that. Oatmeal with cranberries and raisins and sugar-free syrup with strawberries. Do you see what Now, keep in mind, I am insulin sensitive. My insulin resistance has healed. So this would not be a typical person that would have oatmeal that would come into our program as insulin resistant. What we're going to see is this spike right here. We're going to see it up in the 250s, and we're going to see it, that yellow space, that is going to be very, very wide. Okay. So this is somebody who's had oatmeal as insulin sensitive, no longer have insulin resistance. So this is what we want to see. This is not great for me. Right here, do you see where it went down to 80? Went down to 86. I was ravenous here. I was hungry all day, and look what I did that afternoon. I was starving right here. So I ate early because I was hungry. When I have that crash, I am starving. And this made me want to eat more and more and more all day long. Now, I knew that was coming. So out here, starving. I was not feeling great right here. So we get to look at this. We get to see this live data with our people. And then we get to help them make different choices. So what I would have said to a client right here is I would have said, okay, I'm going to look at what you're eating. Oh, I see you've had oatmeal with cranberries. So let's replace that. Let's put some egg. Now, some of my coaching, if the client wants to eat that, some of my coaching might have been, well, let's put a piece of sausage with that. Let's pair this thing and let's have you eat the protein first. Let's have you eat the fat first. Let's put some yogurt, some Greek yogurt into that oatmeal. Let's put some butter into that oatmeal. That's going to bring that down a little bit. So we can personally coach each client through each and every scenario that we have. Do you see anything in that kind of makes you like, oh, wow, this is what I would do with this client?
You put me on the spot.
Uh-huh.
Um,
It's hard when there's no delay.
It's not where my mind was going either. I think you pinpointed, adding, making sure that you're adding some fats too. I mean, it's not an excuse to add
No.
fats to
Right.
any carb,
Right.
but it is a better option for that.
Right.
I would say, you talk about being ravenous and after that, but what shows me that when you are choosing to eat these high carbohydrate type of meals, or even when I am doing a hormone feed, that is when I feel hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that when you're making your meals count, when you're focusing on your fats and your proteins first before your carbs, especially at the timing of the day, I think, maybe not starting with your oatmeal at the beginning of the day.
Mm-hmm.
If you are choosing to have oatmeal, if you're like, my doctor needs me to have this oatmeal, even though it's bogus, having it at the end of the day with butter.
Yeah.
And that is more so for somebody, again, who is insulin sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who is trying to heal their insulin
Mm-hmm.
is probably not an ideal thing. But
Right.
my advice would be to, if you don't want to see those spikes, if you want this to be a natural GLP-1, I would say, focusing on the fats and the proteins.
Yeah.
Those carbs are the things that are making you hungry and not satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. So do you see how we now have flexibility with our clients? We now can talk them through that. Now, never would I say oatmeal, and you're 100% right. I wouldn't look at that and say, well, there's nothing I would change there. I would say, let's remove the oatmeal because we want to heal your body, right? You're in a space right now where your body can't handle that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we don't do in this program is we do not do random testing. There's a time where we bring a potato into every one of our clients' lives, but we do not. One of the things when they sign on is we're not doing ultra processed foods. We're not doing sugar. We're not doing because there's something that happens behind the scene in your body that just because your glucose spikes, you can have some hidden insulin release. So your glucose does not 100% connect to the insulin because alcohol, for example, alcohol lowers your blood sugar. So, like, shouldn't we all drink alcohol all the time? Well, no, because the fact of the matter, it's called oxidative priority, where your body has to burn through that poison before it can release weight. So, even though your blood glucose goes down, um, that means that your body is just working on getting rid of that poison in your body, and you know, it's 100% focused on healing you because it's a poison in your body. The other thing to that is fat loss does not necessarily mean a plain line, a plain steady line. There could be things that are going on. You could have stress. You could have a night full of no sleep. That would bring those things up. So those are the other things we ask our client. Well, tell us what happened last night. Did you get in a fight with your spouse today? Did you, because you can't lose weight when you're stressed. Your cortisol is so spiked, it's continuously putting glucose in your body, and you struggle. Which is probably the number one problem we have in our coaching practice is stress, because women think that they're super women, they can take on the world, right? So not necessarily. So there's other factors that we look at if you're stuck losing weight. You could be eating too much. You shouldn't be eating a meal every 2 hours. You should not be eating a meal at 10 o'clock at night. Your body has to have time to process all of that and relax. You need to cut your eating off at 7 p.m., right? Or, at a relatively soon time before bed. So there's a lot of factors, but this gives us new eyeballs into our clients. This is reality. The client can't lie to us. When my client came to me yesterday and said, I don't know what happened, he can't lie because we know what happened. When we dig a little bit deeper, we found, oh, okay, there was this thing that you ate. There was this thing. So it kind of takes the guessing game out of our coaching a little
I was
bit.
just writing
A
a
lot.
note about how it is a visual help, because when you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about the tortillas, we can say it till we're blue in the face. Don't
Mm-hmm.
eat the keto bread. Don't
Yes.
eat the keto,
Yes.
anything that says keto. Don't eat it. But we
No.
still have clients that still eat
What
the
it
thing
says.
because they say it's low carb.
Yeah.
But initially, like, it's like they have to see it to believe it. And so
Yeah.
this is a new thing. And I would add, CGMs have been around for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a newer thing for us to have access to it
Mm-hmm.
without a prescription. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing here envious of these people with maybe diabetes, or that their doctor said, hey, we should monitor what your glucose is, and
Mm-hmm.
me wanting to wear one myself,
Yeah.
because I can see, have that visual help of knowing, okay, well, I am eating mango, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what this person says to eat, but is this okay
Is
for
this
me?
serving me? Yeah.
And so I think with the CGM, there's you're going to find a lot of CGM places out there, but this, I think, when doctors give you a CGM monitor and say, let's monitor your glucose, it's not necessarily going to fix you, because they're
Mm-hmm.
they're just handing you a CGM without any guidance.
Yeah.
They just say, oh, keep it this low, and you're still eating whatever the heck you want.
Right.
So you're not going to fix.
Right.
Where our program comes in is the fact that we have our whole foods mindset.
Mm-hmm.
We are pairing the keto lifestyle and the carnivore lifestyle together to
Yes.
show you that this is going to be benefit to you, to see what these foods do to you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not going to be like the other person next door.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
why we are able to walk with you, to be able to read it and know
Mm-hmm.
what your body is doing. And so that is empowering you
Yeah.
with more information about yourself.
Yeah.
So,
It even impacted me when I was on a date with my husband, and being living in this new world that I'm living in. I'm constantly aware of the scale. I'm constantly watching my body. I live what I teach. Okay. But we have a little bit more flexibility once you reach your maintenance goals, once you're, healed from insulin resistance, you have a little bit more flexibility. But watching this, I will never forget was on a they had a sale of it was we were at a Mexican restaurant, and there was a sale. It was like $3 margaritas, and I took two. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have this. I can have this. I'm living in this new lifestyle. I can have this, and I'm gonna enjoy a margarita tonight. And I took one drink of it. I looked at my blood sugar. I looked at my CGM, and I saw that puppy start to move. I might have had two drinks of it. Instantly, I stopped because I realized, number one, those spikes don't feel good. When you have one of those spikes and they stay out, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're hurting again because you're bringing sugar in. I saw that puppy start to go up. I gave it to my husband. He's on the same program I am, but we're frugal, so we can't waste it, right? But I gave it to him, and I ordered a diet, and what do you put with diet? Rum, something with no sugar. Diet, and what do you put in diet?
Rum?
Maybe rum. A zero carb alcohol. I traded it. I'm like, that spike does not serve me well. Let me read something. You showed this to me before our amazing book here by Casey Means. Um, Number two, when she's talking about glucose, continuous glucose monitoring. Number two, reduces cravings and anxiety. High glucose spikes lead to bigger glucose crashes, which mean they can lead to cravings, fatigue, and anxiety. Recent CGM research showed that glucose dips or reactive hypoglycemia after meals can predict how hungry people would be later in the day. Amen to that. How soon they would eat again, and how much they would eat at the next meal. And bigger crashes led to eating more calories in a 24-hour period. CGMs can teach you how to avoid reactive hypoglycemia by keeping blood sugar more stable and avoiding those sharp spikes. 100% feel that when I did that test on the margarita.
When I did my chili test, it was, for the most part, everybody's chili was like your typical meat and
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes and seasonings and the beans.
Mm-hmm.
After having the beans, because I did make one without beans, that's how I normally make my chili for the chili cook-off.
Mm-hmm.
But after I did that, the next morning, my fingers felt tight.
Mm-hmm.
They just felt, they hurt
Mm-hmm.
because they were tight. But your body's telling you things. So you can pair what your CGM is saying and what you're consuming by the way your body is feeling, like Monica's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And just paying attention to those things is good point to say, like, okay, clearly beans was pretty inflammatory for me. I should
Mm-hmm.
probably not have beans unless,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't see why people would put themselves through the torture if
Mm-hmm.
they know that that's what's going to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
good
So Patty
question.
asked a great question here. So does this mean we need a CGM from now on? The answer to that is two answers in my book. Number one, yes, everybody should have a CGM. You need to learn your body. You need to learn what spikes your insulin, what spikes your glucose, especially in your journey, Patty, where you are far into it. You need to know your body. So 100% I recommend that. Do I have to wear this for the rest of my life? I am doing so much data tracking right now that I've got a journal. I've got a journal of red foods. This does not serve me well. I know what this did to my glucose. I know what that spike looks like. And I was a week into my journey with the margarita, I had experienced what that felt like, and it was enough for me to make a different choice. So, what we're recommending is that you go through our 3-month program. You are CGM'd up for 3 months because that's enough data that you're like, okay, I know my body. Okay, so we recommend starting with our 3-month program. That's the elite program. That's where you meet with us once a week, and we get to tease this out with you every single week. And then what we recommend is maybe going down to our once a month where you don't have a CGM and you go several, 4 to 6 months without one, and then you recalibrate. Then when you've gone through your journey, you've lost the weight, you're losing the weight, then maybe put one on for 2 weeks. You can buy them 2 weeks at a time. Actually, you can buy them 1 week at a time, I think. Then you recalibrate and say, okay, well, now what happens? Now what does my lifestyle look like? Now what does my body look like? So no, you don't need a CGM for the rest of your life, but a good 3 months is going to tell you more about yourself than you ever imagined.
I
Do you have
would
anything
add
else to say?
I would add it depends on the season that you're in too. Would I have benefited from this when I first started my journey? Yes. And then in
Mm-hmm.
between, like taking a break,
Mm-hmm.
then when you're closer to your health goal or maybe
Mm-hmm.
living in your health goal for a while, like
Yeah.
you may think about putting a CGM on again because our bodies are changing so much.
Right.
But the
Right.
other thing I wanted to add was, somebody may say, okay, well, you keep talking about this insulin resistance. Well, what is insulin resistance? Well, that is you. And how do you tell? Well, you can usually spot somebody with insulin
Yeah.
resistance across the room. Monica, I
Yeah.
remember you walk in. She's like, I know when somebody's insulin
I
resistance.
can.
I
I
can
can
just
see
see
it.
you across the. We're not judging you, but
No.
we know the signs
Yeah.
of insulin resistance, and
Yeah.
usually a tire around your waist is a big telltale sign that
Mm-hmm.
you have insulin
Yep.
resistance.
Skin
Um,
tags, dark skin.
Yep.
Yep.
Dry skin,
Yep.
so there's and the discoloration of the neck. There's
Yes.
lots of things that show you, and
Right.
how you. I think also how your bodies are. You either have apple shape or a pear
Yeah.
shape.
The
Even
shape of your
apple
body.
shape that has like skinny little bird legs. You can
Mm-hmm.
tell
You can
when
see skinny
somebody.
insulin resistant people.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can tell immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's usually when the CGM is going to be a very
Mm-hmm.
beneficial thing. If you
Yeah.
want to get out of insulin resistance, it's going to take your body some
Yeah.
healing to do. But I that's the other reason why I think
Yeah.
in your season that you're in, if you have never
Yeah.
worn a CGM for one, that is when you should do it.
Uh-huh.
If you have had one and you kind of know what your body does, but maybe not living this certain lifestyle that Coach Monica and I are pushing,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe that's another sign that you
Yeah.
need to wear a CGM. If you are have been living this lifestyle and keto for a while, like I think that is an even better time to wear the
Yeah.
CGM because you're able to be not only proud of yourself, but
Yes.
also be able to say like, oh yeah, every now and again
Validation.
in moderation, I can have a baked potato and I'll be
Yes.
fine. Or I can have some carrots maybe. I don't know. It depends on
Yes.
you. But
Yeah.
you're able to determine what your body can tolerate, what you can't
Mm-hmm.
tolerate, and then keto is no longer a stereotype of like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's the diet that you get rid of everything and have no life.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
initially, I think for me the biggest thing is that the CGM kind of put me like you talked about the freedom, and I think freedom couples is attached has like a web of different
Mm-hmm.
other not verbs, but verbs and actions of how you may be feeling because of
Mm-hmm.
that freedom. What
Yeah.
has that done? Like with the peace, I would,
Yeah.
that would be like a little extra side here from that.
Well, like
Um,
validation. I keep hearing the word validation
yeah,
from our longest client that we've had. She's
right,
validating herself, and it's
right.
so freeing.
Right.
To
So with that, being able to have that sense of peace and being free from the chain links,
yeah.
because I'm going to say all of those links were a different name that chained you to
Mm-hmm.
being um, scared and broken.
Mm-hmm.
And mine was fear. I feared food. Was
Mm-hmm.
afraid to eat anything
Mm-hmm.
because I knew, and I'm like, well, what's the matter? I'm already overweight, so I might as well
Right.
eat it anyway.
Right.
That goes with anybody with an addiction
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, well, I've already got an addiction now. How can I break that?
Yeah.
So I
Live
think,
live happy to because
yeah, you
tomorrow we
only live
die.
once, YOLO.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I think it is definitely something that it is seasonal, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll know if you are curious. I think you'll know if you want to see, like if you start having forming a sensitivity to something that was considered keto,
Right.
or carnivore even.
Mm-hmm.
You will be able to test that and
Mm-hmm.
have a peace,
Yeah.
um, and understanding of what your body
Right.
does and reacts to that.
One of the things I found is I love how I feel when the line is slow and steady. Like when it is low and it just looks like a simple line. I feel my best at that point. And what it's done for me is strawberries. Strawberries are air quote keto. Um, I have strawberries in my refrigerator. I like how I feel with this low, slow number. I'm not hungry. Am I going to eat the strawberries? yes, I'm going to eat the strawberries, but I'm not going in there at lunchtime and picking out some strawberries in the refrigerator because I know what it's going to do to my sugar. I know I know how I'm going to feel afterwards. I'm going to eat more than I should. It is going to spike my insulin and my sugar. So, I'm going to have those strawberries at dinner with a piece of meat. So I am still going to enjoy those strawberries, but I'm going to enjoy them at the time where my sugar doesn't spike and I don't feel bad.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's like having a mini coach on your arm. Now
Mhm.
we do not recommend you to do the CGM program alone because you have no idea what you're looking for. You have no idea, you know, not all the time is a steady line that you're losing weight, right? So you need that coaching. You need to know what to do and what to substitute, when to eat, all of those things. So we don't recommend you just go buy a CGM because you don't know what to do with it. There's a strategic way to learn how to read them and to know when and what and where that you're going to put that in your lifestyle.
And I might be biased. I don't know. But I feel like this program is so educational and it simplifies it
Mm-hmm.
so that we're teaching people to fish again
Mm-hmm.
and in a simpler way
Yeah.
versus using all these huge scientific words. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we are not doctors. We did not grow up wanting to be a doctor. And so we're learning about our body and health
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah.
But we understand it enough that we can simplify it and help other people simplify it
Mm-hmm.
that don't have the time to learn the sciencey type
Right.
of words even.
Yeah.
This program, I love it. Like I'm going through it through all the
Mm-hmm.
modules, even though like
Oh yeah.
we're coaching it. I'm still going through the modules
Right.
and reading them over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just really beneficial.
Yeah. An interesting fact that I just because we have our first test beta testers going through the program right now, and so they have full authority to tell us, hey, this doesn't make sense, or what does this mean? And one of the things that I experienced at a marriage conference last weekend was people are weird. First of all, people are weird. But I had four people because it's just so new to me and it wasn't cold yet. I had a sleeveless shirt on, and three people came to me with a very sympathetic, oh my gosh, Monica, do you have diabetes? And
That's
so,
that's,
first
that's
of all, if you
very
have diabetes and people do that to you, I am so sorry. I'm so
yeah.
sorry.
How could you go up to somebody and ask them if they have diabetes?
Yeah, like it's a shameful thing, right?
Mhm.
And so we were able to adjust the modules. How would you respond to somebody who comes up with a judgmental attitude saying, oh, do you have diabetes? No, actually, I don't have diabetes. I'm not going to get diabetes because I'm doing a metabolic test on myself. I'm
Yeah, you
empowering
have a
myself with
CGM.
data.
You can
Yeah,
read that.
three people, no less than three people that
I had
weekend.
somebody do the same thing, and they're like, "Isn't that for diabetes?" I was like, yes and no. People with diabetes do wear them, but I'm doing it for a metabolic
Hmm.
understanding of how my body is right
Hmm.
now. And
I'm doing it to prevent diabetes.
yeah, that
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So, yeah, we teach you in this program how to stand up to people like that
Yeah.
and what to say when they say that to you. So, but yeah, it's practice changing and it's life changing for our clients. And we are just so excited. Please don't eat oatmeal, y'all. Please, for the love of
I'm curious
everything.
though. Rolled oats versus
Maybe you should
instant.
do that
I don't want
that
to.
test. I know. You feel so bad. You realize
Or
how
that,
bad it makes you feel.
yeah.
And that is what they say. That's the American Diabetes, uh, not Society.
Heart
Society is
association.
Dr.
Yeah.
Barry, and it's amazing. But the American Diabetes Association gives people diabetes.
Yeah.
If you tell somebody to have orange juice and a bowl of oatmeal for breakfast, you're giving them diabetes. You should run away from them.
Did I ever? I probably did. I probably shared this when we went over to Paris. Mark ordered us a diabetic meal because we were thinking, oh, this would be beneficial for us, um, and they won't have any sugars or anything like that. No,
Fake news.
not only did they load up on the bread still, but they everybody else had this nice piece of chicken, and we had all vegetables and bean stuff. I'm not even sure what.
Oh,
I cannot pinpoint what they gave us. I know applesauce was a part of that. Applesauce was a
that
part of
makes
that.
my head explode.
I yeah.
It's
And
like the doctors. who put candy bowls in the cancer treatment centers, which
Yeah.
feeds cancer.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Guys,
Yeah.
if you're on that wagon and you are trapped in a wagon that is making you sick, please come away from there. Please, for everything in me, come away from there. Do it right.
Yep.
Do it right. I'm doing a founder sale. So the price that you see on our website, which I posted in the comment section, the price that you see on that website is not going to be the price in a few months. We needed to do some beta testing. We needed to work out all of the kinks. We needed to make sure that our clients, understood the modules, make sure that I don't have any typos in there. So we cut the cost immensely. If you want the elite program where you meet with us, we are knocking $300 off of the price that you see on the website. So don't purchase that. Message us and say I want the founder sale. I have the 8-week program as low as it can go. There's so much coaching and so much accountability. I can't lower that anymore. But I will lower the elite program. So if you hear it on this website, it's not going to be publicized. You're only going to hear it on this podcast and this Facebook Live. So if you want that, make sure you message us and say, hey, I need your deal. Okay. And then we will go on the back side of the program and put you in that way. You go into that website, it gives you all of the details. You pick your coach. Not going to hurt our feelings. You pick your coach. Go research us. Go, personalities. This is why I love our practice. Personalities is what drives the clients to us. Everybody has a different personality. And so go choose your coach, message that coach, set up a consult with that coach, and then we will get you plugged in. Again, this is a founder's price. Beta testing, and we're past the beta section right now, but we do want a founder's opportunity. So this is going to change your life. This has changed our lives, and we are at our goals. So I can't even imagine how it's going to impact our clients in the long run. You have any final words, Darce? I have not known what to do. I have been so uncomfortable this entire program because I'm waiting for the pause to happen.
There is
I'm
no
waiting.
pause.
And you have been right there with me this whole time, and I don't know what to do with that.
I mean,
Woo! We could be really good
we
if we
could.
if
We
we got it
could.
together.
Yeah. I would just give it a thought. If you've ever been just curious, I think this nips the curiosity and helps you explain how your body works
Yeah.
so well. And I don't regret spending the monies on getting a CGM.
Mm-mm.
I don't regret going through this program or helping Coach make it. She did all the work, but all those things. I think this is definitely a turning point
Mm-hmm.
for CAM health coaching.
Yeah, I agree. And for our clients. So we are here every Tuesday morning. We have a podcast, Beyond the Scale Weight Loss and Wellness, of which you will hear this program through that. But as well as every Tuesday morning. And I think Darcy has found her sweet spot where it comes to her internet. This week
Today.
today, but we're gonna take it. I was dreading today. I'm like, oh please Lord, you've got to make the airwaves moved, and he did.
Yep.
So Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we can't wait to see you again.
Bye.